Okay, hello everybody. Well, I wasn't intending on actually going live today, but there's so much happening, and I saw that my friend Ryan KULBABA had been through quite an episode, and you're going to hear his story. And I want to tell you something. This is how serious it is. This is discrimination. Now, we've been watching what's been going on with our barbecue, amazing barbecue guy over there in Ontario. We've also been watching that, and I'm going to go over this later in the show. Starbucks fires religious employee for refusing to wear a pride shirt. We've got the police barricade as Adam Scully's restaurant is basically boarded up. And oh, I got some things happening here. Here, let me turn this. So I hope you're not hearing that. Let me get the video off here. And we have some terrible things happening. But here on the West Coast, we have had somebody who has been denied boarding a plane. And I think that this is what is really scary, is that we are all being traced, tracked, monitored, and our belief systems are now in jeopardy of being discriminated against. And once upon a time, you know, we saw that witches were burned at the stake. But apparently, if you dare to question the narrative going on in our world, perhaps you're going to be burned at the stake. Worse yet, you're not going to be able to fly. You may not be able to eat in restaurants. One day, perhaps, because you won't potentially accept a vaccination. What will that mean for all of us? Well, it's the beginning. So let me tell you a very terrifying tale of what has happened to my friend Ryan KULBABA. He was on his way to Toronto. And this is his story, and I want him to tell it. He was not allowed to make that trip to be there for a protest. And to me, this is probably one of the worst cases that we've seen. And so I just want to invite you to the show, Ryan. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for coming to share your story. We're very interested to find out about this. What happened, Ryan?
Okay, well, unfortunately, there's no nutshell I can give you here. It's quite the story. About an hour and a half, 2 hour long episode. So we arrived. Christy and I arrived at the airport about just before 2:30, 20 after 2. Just as we parked, oddly enough, we got a call from Air Canada saying that they approved our medical exemptions to be on the flight. We had to fill out an in-flight paper form, a nine-page form, and submit it to them, and they approved it. So we're like, okay, great. So we can go on the flight, on the airplane with no mask. The only thing they said was it's just not the same for the airport. You just have to wear a mask in the airport. I said, oh, okay. So we go into the airport, and we're greeted by the initial, frontline staff, and they're like, oh, you have to wear a mask. And we presented the forms that we filled. Say, oh no, we're exempt, and here's our doctor's note. And they look at it and say, okay, that's fine. They were really, really polite, by the way, all of them. So the first thing was, so we had to scan our ticket, our boarding pass, with using the barcode on our phone. So I go to scan that. It didn't work. So I go to scan it again and got denied again. So we're like, okay, well, that's strange. So they said, okay, just go to the manual check-in, and just use hand sanitizer too. So we're like, okay, pick our battles here. So we put on our hand sanitizer and go to the manual in-person check-in. And again, they scan the barcode on my phone for the boarding pass. No, it doesn't work. Again, they scan it and it doesn't work. So at that point, they're like, okay, so let me call the medical desk here, just to verify, your notes and everything. And it took about 5. We were waiting there in line for about 10 minutes, and they took my driver's license number. They took my home address as well while we were waiting. And after about 10 minutes of her being on the phone, she goes, have you ever had any past experiences with Air Canada, anything negative? I was like, no, never, nothing. And she said, you're being denied flight to Toronto. I was like, and as soon as I heard that, like in my head, I knew, like I know, but I didn't want to say what it was because, I don't want to say too much, right? So after another few minutes.
At that time, you didn't want to say too much to her at that time.
Yeah, don't want to say, oh, it's because of what I do, and oh, I know because of Facebook and blah. You don't want to say anything that could be,
yeah,
even make it worse for you. So So then she got a hold of the corporate security, or the main corporate security person at the airport, or for Air Canada. I can't remember who it was. And after about 5 minutes of talking to them, one of them agreed to come down and talk with me. So they put me into a waiting area for a good 15 minutes. I'm just kind of sitting there waiting. And then he comes up to me and introduces himself. And he basically said, okay, so even though that you have your forms filled out and they're all approved and you have your doctor's note, you're being denied because of you're not wearing a mask. I'm like, okay, but I have my stuff right here, you know, saying I'm approved. And then he looks at the forms and he goes, so did they actually phone you today? And I said, yeah, they phoned me at 2:20. I even showed him the number on my phone. I said, yeah, here's Air Canada right here. And he said, okay, so can I look at the doctor's note? And I said, yeah, okay, sure. And he looks at it and says, and he goes, so is this just some run-of-the-mill doctor? Is this a family doctor of yours? I said, no, it's not a run-of-the-mill doctor. No, it's not. And he then asked me, so what's your respiratory condition? And I said, I'm under no legal obligation to give that information to you under the BC Human Rights Code. And he said, okay. I said, it's a respiratory issue, and that's all. That's it. And he said, okay, that's fine. So even though you're approved, you're being denied based on some things, some past behavior years. I'm like, oh my God. So he brings up the BC Ferries incident, my video of the BC Ferries incident. He brings up the fact that he knows that I'm going to Toronto to an anti-mask rally. He called Christy and I, you know, anti-maskers, and we're part of the anti-mask movement, and that we're a threat to passengers on board. We're a threat to their health and safety, blah, blah, blah. So he says all that stuff. And then I said, so then he goes back and he phones Montreal, head office in Montreal. Has like a 20-minute chat with them. We're just waiting there. And then he comes back and he says, yeah, no, you guys are still being denied. Like, okay, so I've just got denied like 2 or 3 times here at the airport for basically what my beliefs are and what my videos are. So at that point I said, okay, let's pick our battles here. I said, okay, so what if I just comply? What if I wear the mask? What if I go through the airport? I'll wear it. What if I go on the plane? I'll wear it for the safety of others, for the benefit of others. Okay, I will do it. Okay, so then he goes, well, based on the BC Ferries incident, you showed everybody that how to get by their policy by holding a bottle up to your mouth. So how do we know that you're not going to do that on the plane? Oh my gosh. Okay, so now I'm like, okay, well, if you want surveillance on me, put a camera on me, have someone watch me, whatever. I won't do it. My word is my word. Okay, I'm not going to do it. Okay, I will comply. Okay, I will. And so at that point, he goes back to the phone to Montreal for another 15, 20 minutes. So we were waiting a good hour and a half there. And he comes back and he basically said, yeah, no, you're a health risk to everybody. We don't trust that you're going to keep your mask on the whole entire time. You're a health risk, and we can't jeopardize the passengers on the plane because of this. So you will be denied. And so at that point, I didn't care anymore. I'm like, I don't care. Okay, so now what you're telling me is that you are discriminating against me. I'm not allowed to fly based on my beliefs, my views, and my prior actions to this flight that have nothing to do with this flight. And he basically just said, yeah, you're a health threat. That's what he said. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just in my head. I'm just thinking this is complete discrimination against me based on things that I just believe, you know. And so at that point we were told to just leave the airport. And he gave me a letter right here, as well as his card. And I'd like to share a little bit of this letter, what they wrote on this letter, a couple points of why they denied me service on the plane. And clearly this was not written in an hour and a half upon check-in. It's much too detailed, and I'll tell you why here. So a couple points of this letter. So it says, we have been made aware of certain facts, events that occurred leading up to Air Canada flight between Vancouver and Toronto. Okay. We were informed that you currently and or prior to said flight and date have a mandate to protest against the Government of Canada Interim Order and Quarantine Act by removing masks while at the airport and on board the flight. Hold strong anti-government views to the point of disregarding regulations of non-compliance to government. Posted social media live video of you on board BC Ferry disregarding the mandatory mask policy by eating or drinking for the entire trip. That's not true. I adhered to their policy. Their policy says you are exempt if you are eating or drinking. I adhered to the policy. Encourage everyone not to comply with mandatory mask policy by eating or drinking for the entire trip. I encouraged people to adhere to the policy again. Encourage everyone not to comply with mandatory mask by claiming they have a medical condition. If you have a condition, you are exempt. That is the human rights code right there. Was seen and witnessed to be non-compliant with mandatory mask regulation at public transport. I have never taken public transport. I'm never around public transport. Public and commercial areas and during manifestations, thus putting surrounding people's health and safety in jeopardy. I've never been around public transport. Couple more sentences. Please be advised that Air Canada cannot and will not tolerate the behavior you display prior to its flight, meaning I am monitored. My daily life is monitored. And this is the kicker. Please be advised you are refused for carriage on any Air Canada Rouge, or Air Canada Express flight until you convince Air Canada in writing that you no longer pose a risk to the safety and comfort of its passengers and crew and the safe operation of the aircraft, and provide satisfactory assurances that the behavior you exhibit leading up to Air Canada flight will not reoccur. They want me to beg and plead for them to go back and fly with them is what they want. That's not going to happen. I'm not doing that. Sorry. No. So that's what happened, Laura. Oh, I can't hear you.
Sometimes I turn my mic off so I can really concentrate and I don't have excessive noise around me. So let that sink in, everyone, that Ryan was willing to fully comply. He also had a letter that said that he was exempt, right? You had a letter. You had a medical doctor's letter.
I had the doctor. Yeah, as well as the 9-page form that you're required to fill out for flying along. That's there. It's not the medical certificate they use. It's an in-flight travel form that you're supposed to fill out along with having a doctor's note. Filled out, 9 pages, pre-approved. It was already approved.
Right.
Yeah.
And so to me, this is like the tracking and the tracing. This is like communist state where they can, you can have like a social credit score. And now you literally, you're the first person I know that you're being denied because they can look at your social media and say, you don't agree with masks. You're not falling for the whole narrative of COVID-19. Therefore, you cannot have service on our airplane. So that's Air Canada that's done that to you.
That is correct. I mean, of course, I'm probably, I'm more of a public figure. I get it. We all know what I do, and I'm kind of being made an example of, just like with Chris Sky out in Toronto. He was, charged, arrested a couple times, and same with, Mac out here in Phoenix on the ferries. They're targeting, us and trying to make examples of us. And same with Adam out in Toronto. Basically, yeah, this is a social credit score. They are monitoring me. They are heavily, like, this is nationwide, and I guarantee you, this is not just Air Canada. I will most likely not be able to fly in Canada again. I doubt that this is just an Air Canada thing. This was like, as soon as my boarding pass was scanned, it was already red flagged. They had this note pre-written, most likely days ago. I'm being heavily surveillanced. So this is a definite social credit score scenario. If you do not adhere to the government policy on this lockdown or on masks, there are consequences for it. This is exactly what this letter says right here.
So my question to you, Ryan, is shouldn't you know that before you arrive at the airport and have this whole ordeal? Shouldn't they, if they're going to do this, why was that not, why did that not go into effect when you applied for your ticket and you booked your ticket? Shouldn't they have said, by the way, you're on our no-fly list. Sorry, don't bother showing up. Couldn't. Like what happened there?
Yeah, I have no clue. There was zero indication at all whatsoever that I wouldn't be allowed to board this flight or check in or anything. You'd think that'd be the right thing to do, but unfortunately, it's probably, more convenient for them to make me go through, driving there, go through the whole ordeal and punish me a little more probably, make an example out of me even more and frustrate me even more. That's my only thought on that would be just to make more of an example of me and make it more hard for me, make me more frustrated. I really don't know. But the
Yeah.
thing is that I was literally approved at 2:22 with that form to go on that plane. I was approved and they still denied me. That is just utter discrimination against me because of my beliefs. That
Right.
to me is just the most shocking thing of this whole ordeal, really.
So what does it say about all of us, that perhaps they're going to begin looking, oh, this person doesn't believe in masks, or, even though you've done all of the compliance that was required, the filling out of the forms, you got a doctor's note, and you show up and you're living by the rules they put in, but they look at your social media. So what does that say about all of us? Are we going to begin to be discriminated against because of our beliefs and our right to freedom to have those beliefs in Canada? Isn't this dangerous right now, right here? This is it, everyone. This is it. And what happens, Ryan, in the future? And I don't totally know your position on vaccines. I know that we've been at certain places together, but different people have different thoughts on it. What's important is that our personal beliefs be honored in a free country like Canada. So what if in the future you haven't had your vaccination? What if, because I'm looking at some things today that is talking about, they're beginning to talk about these mandatory coronavirus vaccines. They're looking at public opinion. Most people do not believe that it should be mandatory, but in the future, what if you're deemed you're not a safe person because you don't take a vaccine? Do you never get to fly?
That's exactly it. And Ticketmaster was the first kind of corporation to go forward with that initiative a few weeks ago. They came out and said, if you want to come to our events, purchase tickets, you're going to have your COVID pass ready. There's going to be protocols ready, and they'll be mailed to you. And bring your proof of vaccination to the event. You'll be let in. They were the first corporation to go to publicly admit that they're going to be going along with this. So there you go. If you want to go to a concert, where's your COVID vaccine, right? And apparently their stance has been a little more lax lately. Apparently they got some flack for it. But yeah, that was just the beginning, and we all know it's going to come to travel. Of course it is. That's the most, it's the biggest, one of the biggest industries out there is air travel. Of course they're going to nail people with that mandatory vaccine. And if you are not vaccinated, there is no way you'll be able to fly. Of course, I mean, being so close to people on a plane, so close to people in the terminal, of course they're gonna want your COVID-19 pass, of course. And it's not just going to end there. It's going to end with car insurance. You want your car insurance? Well, where's your COVID vaccine? You want to go in a restaurant? You want your driver's license? It's just going to be everywhere. It's going to be everywhere. And this is just the beginning, tiptoeing toward that. If you don't comply, you will get none of your freedoms back. You will get none. You will basically be house ridden. You won't be going to stores. You'll just be able to walk on a sidewalk, and that's it. This is the beginning of it right here, guys. And not only the vaccine stuff, but if you disagree with the narrative, you won't be able to do anything either. You will not have those freedoms either if you do not agree with what the government stance is on this issue. This is a very dangerous, very, very dangerous time right now, and it's just going to get worse. Look what's happening in Toronto with Adam Skelly. The guy's being denied his right to earn a living, to serve his family. And the police are actually, what they're doing is blocking off his whole entire business, barricading it, and it's now trespassing to be on that property. What they're doing is protecting a government order. They are serving the government. They are protecting government interests. They are supposed to be protecting the people, and they're not doing that. It's just disgusting. And the amount of pride and patriotism I have for those people in Toronto standing up with Adam and going there and showing up and supporting him. Almost $250,000 has been raised for his cause. You know, that's like in like 3 days. You know, it backfired on the Ontario government's plan. They wanted to kind of cripple his business and make an example out of him. Well, now he's $250,000 richer because the power of the people, because we the people will stand up and protect our rights and our freedoms. And it was so evident in Toronto, and I just applaud them for doing that. But yeah, this is getting serious, Laura. This is the beginning of the most serious part of our future right here. What's happening in Toronto, what's happening here. It's very serious. Very.
Did you comment on your social media about what Adam Scully was going through as the barbecue patriot? Did you comment on that?
I made a post that we all support him. I changed my cover photo to a photo of him. I changed my profile pic to we stand with Adam. I've made comments on some posts here and there. Of course, I can't remember all the comments on the posts I see.
Sure.
But yeah, definitely.
Basically, people can tell sort of what side you're on because they can go into your social media. You're very open about it. You believe that our rights and liberties are under fire, and you're someone who reports on that. And I love David Menzies, and I love the report they've done. But you can see here that what they're doing is they have boarded up this gentleman's barbecue place because why? He dared to say, hey, if you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask, come in and have a barbecue. Just down the street, you've got Costco open fully. They are back to back, you know, pushing their carts into each other. And somehow this guy who stands up for what he believes in is the one paying the price.
Totally true. It's all the big corporations, all the big chains that they're allowed to stay open, you know, Superstore, Costco, McDonald's, Tim Hortons, Amazon, you name it. They are allowed to do what they do. But if you're a small business, you are attacked, you're shut down, you have heavy restrictions put on you. And what they're doing in this case is they're just making a big example of their abuse of power. Their state of emergency restrictions that they're doing. They're making an example out of this business and of Adam. Of course, it's what they do. They pick one or two incidents and they put it all in the media to make an example and to scare people, you know, to intimidate people. And that's exactly what they're doing with Adam and this business. I mean, there's a ton of other businesses that are being shut down and crippled. No media attention on that, but this one is being made an example of. And the support that he's got, not only in Toronto but across Canada, you know, it's like I said, $250,000 raised in about 3 days for this guy. It's incredible, the power of the people, the power of our movement, the feeling of unity that we have to. I mean, look at the people that showed up there. It's just like couple hundred people, maybe even more, and they did not back down when the cops got in their face either. They pushed right back. You know, Chris Sky, you know, he was and Vlad, he was a prominent figure, both of them in those standoffs with the cops. And they said, you are not going to arrest us. We are not backing down. And that shows a lot of unity and strength in our movement too, when we push back against them and say, no more, you know, so that can't go unnoticed also.
Right. And this is what's happening in other places in the world.
Yeah, all over what?
Yeah.
A mass business. There was also, I think this was in Australia, one that was circulating a few days ago where cops were like strangling, choking this guy for not wearing a mask in a restaurant, ragdolling him. They threw him to the ground, his head hit the ground, he's unconscious, and then they just ragdoll him, pick him up and drag him out the door for not wearing a mask. That's what this world's come to. They are just making so many examples out of people for the most mundane things like wearing a mask, opening your business. It is getting extremely scary. And if you guys don't think this is going to come to Vancouver or BC or anywhere, those cities it's happening to didn't think that either. Okay. And now with this Air Canada issue, you know, of course it's come here. It is come here now. It is now official. This stuff is coming here. So we got to wake up. If we have to wake up now and we have to do something now about this.
I think that this is sort of why I allow these stories to be told, is I want people to see that there has been a concern for quite a while of what was coming, but not everyone believes that. Not everybody wants to see it. And we think, oh no, Canada's not like that. It can never happen here. And I think the events of recent are showing us that it exactly right can happen here. It exactly can happen here. And we look at different parts of the world. A few weeks ago, I interviewed the gals from Australia, and I thought, wow, that's hideous. It's horrendous. Like how can people be doing this? And then all of a sudden we're beginning to see this. I'm hearing from different people talking about they're seeing places where checkpoints in the province might be put up. We have Premier Horgan here in British Columbia talking about, just stay home, like don't travel from place to place. Like, what will there be, a checkpoint between here and Kelowna if we want to go and, have an evening at the lake out there in Kelowna? What infringements are beginning to come, and are you going to be judged if you're an anti-mask or an anti-vax person? If you're there, they label you as a conspiracy theorist. So now someone like Air Canada can literally go to your Facebook page and go, yeah, hey, we know what you're all about, sir. We know what's happening here, and you're not allowed to fly on Air Canada. And so how many of us will have a situation like this if we dare to say too much one day on something that we're alarmed about, and we have a flight, maybe we're heading on a vacation, and we're now suddenly we're in your shoes. And maybe, you said you were willing to wear the mask. I'll do whatever you say. Like, why were you going to Toronto? You wanted to be there today because they had a big event, right?
The reason I wanted to go, I've been wanting to go there since April, since this whole movement started across Canada. I have so many friends out there that I've been wanting to meet for so long. Chris, Vlad, Lamont, Kelly, Colin, Christine, Jess. I can go on and on. And with my work schedule, I'm 3 on 3 off, 12-hour shifts, and I don't really have the opportunity to get out there because I only have like a day to fly, a day to be there, a day to fly back. And this one weekend, my schedule worked out. I only have maybe 3 weekends out of the year where my work schedule will allow me to kind of go out there, and this was one of them. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to meet my friends out there ever. And that's actually one thing about this whole incident that actually upset me the most was they denied me meeting my friends out in Toronto. And then the whole discriminatory policies they used to not allow me to fly. So, and again, I just want to touch on what's happening here in BC too. Like, I have heard reports of a police checkpoint out in Hope entering the Lower Mainland. I heard there was one going up to Whistler. People were being denied access to that road because they had people in their car that weren't part of their household. People are being fined in restaurants because they're at a table in which their group of people is not part of their same household. You have either it's bylaw officers or police going into restaurants and checking your IDs to make sure that you are in the same household. This is happening here in BC already. It's happened in the last few weeks, in the last week or so. And I've heard even reports of cops handing out tickets in Richmond shopping centers, in Guildford. They're handing out fines left, right, and center for people not wearing masks. They're making criminals out of healthy people, out of people that are just living their life the way they always have. We are being made, maybe not criminals, but we are, they're making a business out of this virus. They're finding ways to not only cripple businesses and eliminate, money and income there, but they're finding ways to take our money. That's what governments do. They find a way to make money off of an event or a crisis, and that's what they're doing here. And of course, things are just going to get worse and worse. I feel bad for not being able to make Toronto, and I don't know if I ever will be unless I drive across there now. But
right, and this is Toronto today that we're looking at right here. This is Vlad's post, so I believe this is where you were actually supposed to be, and there's a lot of people that have gathered there today. It looks like several hundred. And it's wonderful to see people actually standing up, and battling it out. for all of this. But you today have been discriminated against because you dare to stand up against the tyranny of the masks, against the COVID-19 restrictions. And this is the world, I guess, that we are actually at. And so I do hope that people, through hearing your story, are going to be awakened, by this, and that there's a difference that can be made. I did have a question. Will you get your money back for your flight?
Yeah, so what I used was my RBC rewards points to book this flight in the hotel out there. So I'll have to phone the RBC rewards phone line, and I'll ask them, what their policy is on this. I can't see that I'll get compensated. I probably won't. Corporations and businesses, they don't like to give you your stuff back, right? So I know with flights that I don't know if it's for every air company out there, but if you book a flight that you can't make or it gets canceled, they will not reimburse you financially. They'll just keep that credit in there for a future flight, right? And I'm assuming that's what's going to happen here. I don't know, but I will contact RBC Rewards and find out what that deal is. I haven't yet because it's not too much a priority right now. It was 75,000 of my points and then a few $100s for extra for a hotel. It's not a priority to me right now, but I will. And once I find that information out, obviously I'll let everybody know about that.
Right. And so moving forward, if you want to fly somewhere, you could face the same issue.
Yeah, like I said, this in no way do I believe that this is just an Air Canada issue. I was flagged, days ago, weeks ago, maybe even months ago. I do not believe it's not even. I might try to rebook a flight just to see if this is, Air Canada, WestJet, Air Alaska, whoever. I may try to do that in the future, but there's not much point. I really know that this is not an Air Canada thing. I'm monitored, I'm surveilled, and that's just the way it's going to be. So I probably won't be able to fly again. Probably, it's too bad.
It's shocking. I mean,
yeah, I got to get used to living in BC the rest of my life and not leaving the borders of down south or to our east or west or anything. So I'm okay with it. That's fine.
Who's going to fight for us? Who's going to fight for us? When you look around, somebody's putting up here, no more entrenched establishment parties. Who's fighting to say, like, who's going to stand up to these big, conglomerations who are now discriminating against us? What about going to court, Ryan?
Okay, so I won't say too much about this, but I'm in discussion with Tanya Gaw, Action for Canada, about this. I'm supposed to meet with her later. We're going to discuss, what we can do, what we will do. What I will do, though, is continue to promote fundraising for Action for Canada. If you go to Action for Canada, I think it's /fundraiser, I think. Donate to her cause, because she's the one who's teaming up with Rocco about filing against the BC government, against the Canadian government, all that stuff. So if we continue to promote her cause and fundraise for her, the quicker that we can get legal action for their cases. Right. That's what it's all about. We need to help her fundraise for her, and then we will see what happens in the next coming days. I'll talk to her probably later today. We'll get out an action plan happening for this case, and right. Obviously I'll keep people updated on it, because we are going forward with this. And I'm going to tell everybody right now. I'll tell you and whoever's watching and anyone I talk to, this is not going to stop me. I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. They can't intimidate me. They can't bully me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to keep fighting for that flag right there, and I'm not going anywhere, guys. I'll take a bullet for all of you. I don't care. I'll keep going. Mm-hmm. I'll keep you in the face of this whole thing out here. I don't care. So I'm not stopping, Laura. No way.
Good. Thank you. That's why we love you. And I'm so sorry you've been through this. It is very enlightening, though. And it really, for my heart, I'm looking at the big picture, and I'm looking, okay, tracking, tracing, you get a score, and it's already happened. And we haven't even faced the vaccine question, and we're already there. This is terrifying, and it should be terrifying for every Canadian. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Laura.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate you taking time to be here. And we wish you the best. Please keep us updated on what's happening, Ryan.
Okay, thanks for having me. Thanks for all that you do. Thank you for covering this issue. Obviously, this is kind of a new precedent for what's happening here in BC and Canada, and thank you for covering it. It's a very, very important issue. A lot of this discrimination, the social credit. It's here now, guys. It is here, and it happened to me. So thank you, Laura.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, take care, Ryan. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
So, unbelievable. Some other things before I go today, I want to briefly download some very important information, some things that are happening. And I was very shocked to see this, that there is a Starbucks basically has fires a religious employee for refusing the pride shirt. Now, you know what? This may shock a lot of you because, you know, I do speak out on things, but I believe that anyone can be and live to their choice in Canada because that is our democracy. And we were founded on Judeo-Christian values, which means that you get a choice in how you want to live. Now, we believe as Christians that you should choose to, to honor God's laws. Now, if a person does not choose that, in Canada, that's okay. You can be gay, lesbian, bisexual, transsexual, polyamorous, pansexual, or any one of the 150 genders. I've said this so often, you know, that there are out there. However, when somebody has a personal belief and a conviction, I do not see why anyone in North America gets the right to just tell them how to live. Now, this was in New Jersey. They have fired an employee for refusing to wear a pride t-shirt because of her religious beliefs. Betsy Fries, a Christian from Newark who started working as a barista in Starbucks in December of 2015, claimed in a suit filed last week that she was assured by managers that her faith would not be an issue if she moved. And she holds personal religious beliefs that all people need Jesus. And I'm glad that Rebel News is reporting on this. And she believes that every Christian is called to love and treat everyone with respect and compassion, irrespective of their religious or other beliefs. Now, this is very pivotal to me. She believes that people need Jesus, but she is stating clearly, unequivocally, that she believes in treating and loving all people with respect and compassion, irrespective of their religious or other beliefs. Freeze's manager informed her that she wouldn't be required to wear the t-shirt in at work. And then in late August, a district manager informed her that her employment had been terminated, according to the lawsuit filed on November 19th. The notice of separation issued from Starbucks cited in the filing stated that Freeze was terminated for violation of the company's core values, and added that she told colleagues they need Jesus after being given the t-shirt. So you're not allowed to tell people that they need Jesus, right? You're not allowed to do that. So she gets fired, and all she was saying was that she didn't want to wear the t-shirt. And so can you believe this? They're saying it's because of her core values. To me, that's very dangerous. That's right here. Her core values that she's being, done in for. Her core values. Last I heard, we're all allowed to have our core values, and we should be allowed to have those. Okay. Now, I got on a bit of a bandwagon today as well, because I was talking about the blood donation issue here in Canada. And this was very, very interesting to me. There's an article now that is out, and apparently a Conservative member Let's see if I can pull this up real fast. And, well, before we get to that, here's a guy talking about banning religious gathering. He's upset about what's happening. This is in the Vancouver Sun. It was an opinion by Brian Bird. Banning religious gatherings defies common sense and perhaps the Constitution. There is little evidence that religious gatherings are riskier than many activities that continue. The charter requires the province to disprove this apparent state of affairs if the ban is to persist. So once again, here's Bonnie Henry, not my favorite person. She really seems sort of, kind of calm and, not intimidating, and yet everything she's doing is so intimidating. Everything that she is doing is intimidating to all of us who have our core belief systems. We have religious liberty here, supposedly in Canada. And what's really annoying is that basically she shut down all gatherings. Now, I just went to Cactus Club last night, and I had dinner with 4 other people. And we were all in close quarters, talking, laughing, having a blast. And I can't see how that is not equally, or if not more dangerous, because we're face to face in a restaurant. And that's perfectly allowed. But yet, Bonnie Henry has decided, okay, that we are not allowed to meet in our churches. And I know that there is a whole bunch of people who are now getting on their bandwagon, and some pastors that are beginning to speak out on this and are, gearing up and saying enough is enough. Why would you discriminate against churches if you're not going to discriminate then against going to Cactus Club? Did you see, in that story that Rebel had, Costco, some people posted pictures of what Costco looks like. It's person to person. Yeah, sure, they're wearing masks and all of that, but they're person to person, and we're shutting down this guy who wants to have a barbecue for people and wants to respect people's rights. And yet, our government is picking and choosing, and none of it makes sense. And this is the problem. None of it makes sense. And so I think that we're quite literally getting to this place where, we are going to have to decide what our line in the sand is going to be. What will our line in the sand be? What will it take? And where is the place where we are willing to go this far and no further? And I don't know if I can show these pictures here. These pictures are what happened when it's at King's Cross as people prepare to protest in light of lockdowns that are happening. Okay, and let me see if I can get to these here. So people are protesting, and you've got all of these police officers, and they are all lined up. And the point that this person was making was, where were these guys when they were lining up to perhaps tear down statues? We've had all these kinds of protests. So this is King's Cross at the moment in preparation for the lockdown protests happening today. Where was this level of authority when war memorials were being destroyed and the flag was being burned? What's happening? What's happening? Look at all of these policemen, right? You've got all of these guys who show up to take a barbecue guy away, and you're shutting down churches. Does it seem like they're going after the low-hanging fruit, people that do not want to fight? very, very disturbing, absolutely disturbing. And the other thing that that I was commenting on today is that the Conservative Party of Canada has basically, as I said, there's this blood ban. Now, there's a blood ban on people that are gay giving blood. And there is a 3-month sort of rule that they can't give blood until they haven't had sex with somebody of the same sex for 3 months. And there are reasons for that. And I want to get to that place to show that. So here we have the Conservative Party of Canada, like, advocating for something that doctors and professionals, and this is where somebody said, well, how can you can't stand with doctors and professionals when they are, saying this because we can't stand with them on the COVID issue. No, it's very different. There is a lot of evidence that shows that we want to have safe blood, okay? We want to have safe blood, and we want that to, if any of us ever need some sort of blood transfusion, what you really want is you want to make sure that you've got that safety. So here it is right here. What I believe personally is that you can live any way that you want, but our society has to be safe. So when it shows that there could be HIV in the blood, or there could be, syphilis or any of these things, and you want to make sure that you're giving safe blood to people, it's very, very important, okay, that we do this. So I looked up an article on why can't gay men give blood. And the most important thing really is that sometimes when you're having risky sex, or and this is not discriminatory. I personally believe that if there's a woman, she's a heterosexual, and she's out having sex with, someone different every weekend, and if she's having, several lovers in a week, that also she would be deemed a very unsafe person. And so here is what it says, is that the rules were again updated at the end of 2017 following years of campaigning by sexual health and LGBTQ organizations. However, the new 3-month deferral period still prevents many MSM, or men who have sex with men, from donating blood if they are having regular sex. Anyone can acquire a blood-borne virus or a sexually transmitted infection, but some people have an increased risk of exposure. At a population level, men who have sex with men have a higher risk of acquiring blood-borne infections. That is just a fact. That is what they have seen. So they have in place, we have a 3-month deferral. So a man would have to say that he hasn't had sex with another man, because there is a small possibility that tests we carry out are not able to pick up recently acquired infections. If someone was to donate blood during this time, known as a window period, it would be possible to transmit an infection. And so that, that was very, very important information. And so it was on this website that I found that, there's a gentleman, and he is basically advocating for this to be removed. And he's a gay conservative Tory MP. And I want to read to you what he said and how they had a battle about this. And I want to be very clear that this is not, I am not in opposition to people living as they choose, because actually I believe in democracy, because you get to live in freedom, I get to live in freedom. So let's take away the whole aspect that this needs to be labeled as, something that has to do with being discriminatory against gay people. Tory MP Duncan pushes health minister to finally end the gay blood ban. So Aaron Duncan This is the MP. The first openly gay conservative MP laced into the federal health minister Thursday over the Liberals' failure to end a ban on gay men donating blood. In a heated and emotional exchange during a late night committee hearing in the House of Commons, Duncan pressed Patty Hadju, which I don't have anything that I'm in agreement with her about on any other issue, including he asked a direct question on whether she'd accept a blood donation from him. Hadju didn't exactly answer, pointing to ongoing work to end a ban on donations from men who have sex with men. Canada banned blood donations from gay men since 1992 before allowing it in 2013 if the donor abstained from sex with another man for at least 5 years. That was changed to 1 year in 2016 and then to 3 months in 2019. But the Liberals promised to end the ban completely in both 2015 and 2019. And Duncan, his point is that there's a desperate need for blood donations during the second wave of COVID-19. Is there? Okay. I want to donate and make a difference, but I can't because I'm gay, he said. In the year 2020, why is that? This has nothing to do with being gay as much as it has to do with a risky sexual lifestyle. And I think that's pretty clear. And when people want to make it about identity politics when it doesn't need to be, I don't like that. And when he's asking Patty Hadju a direct question on whether she'd accept a blood donation from him, how would she know? It would need to be screened. It would need to be, asserted that it was safe blood. If it's safe blood, then it's fine. And the whole issue around this is not about being against people for being gay. You might not agree with their lifestyle or whatever, but what this is really, really about, is about safety, medical safety. And this is proven that within a 3-month period of time, you would not be able to tell if somebody had safe blood if they've been having sex with a partner, a male. It just is a fact. That has nothing to do with being discriminatory against somebody for being gay. It's just that there's a huge syphilis outbreak in BC, and there have been times when there have been raised problems because of the lifestyle and the risky sexual activity, and so this has nothing to do with the actual issue of being LGBTQ. It has to do with safety. And I just want to say that when it comes to giving blood, this should not be politicized. This should not be made into do you support LGBTQ or not? No, I don't support women who run around having sex with different men every week. And I don't want blood from them. And if I'm ever in the place where I am having the need for a blood transfusion, I do not want blood from anyone who's been in risky behavior at all. I would like clean, good, safe blood from a middle-aged Christian woman who's been married for 50 years. That wouldn't be possible. But do you hear what I'm saying? That is of concern to me, that we turn this whole thing into something about discrimination. And so, isn't it ironic that on a day when you can be discriminated against for going into an airplane because you don't believe in masks, and maybe you have a video out there where you've been standing against it or you've had some activism, all of a sudden Ryan KULBABA cannot fly on Air Canada, okay? And you're being discriminated against for just having your personal beliefs, for your freedom, for exercising your freedom in Canada. That is significant. And now people who actually believe that they would want safe blood if they were in a situation where their, medical health were at stake, that is not supported. And we have a Conservative Party of Canada that is now allowing their members, to argue and turn this into an LGBTQ issue when it is not an LGBTQ issue. I think it's significant. I think the things that we're facing now are very pivotal, and that we're in danger of being under a lot of fire. And I think that we do have to respect good science. And that's one of the reasons that people that are struggling with COVID-19 and the implementations of these lockdowns is because the science is not there. It's not there. But when science is there, then we have to back that. When you can see legitimate scientific medical data, that's good, but not when data is all over the place and it's all mixed up. So I just thank you very much for joining me today. I'm off. I'm going to go enjoy that beautiful world that we have out there. And I'm very grateful that you support this. And sometimes we have to have difficult conversations. We really, really do. And we have to be able to begin speaking those out with courage. It's important. It's important to be brave about everything. And I'm not happy about what happened to Ryan. He's not going to be able to ever fly on Air Canada unless he proves to them that he can behave and wear a mask, and he told them he would wear a mask. And now Air Canada has discriminated. And personally, that makes me, Air Canada, will generally be the last place that I'm going to be able to support with my dollars. If I'm going to be flying, that would be the last place now that I'll go. I'll try all of the other airlines first. And we're at a very dangerous place. And I think that we need to realize that. Thank you very much for joining me today, and we will see you next time. Thank you. It's not easy to deliver the truth of what our sick world is doing, but for some of us, we feel that we have no choice. Because if we are silent about these abominable things, then we are letting evil go unchecked, and we cannot do that. We need to start talking about these issues, bring this discussion to those around us, educate our children. For those of you wonderful people who are writing me and are sharing your encouragement, I am deeply grateful. Thank you for all the letters that you've been sending. Thank you for the donations and the support. I found out that in order to speak the truth, you have to become very, very strong. I'm deeply grateful for all of your kindness that you have shared with me. If you would go to my website at www.lauralyn.tv, you'll find all of the ways that you can contact me. You can also reach me at P.O. Box 48184, New Westminster, BC, V3M0A7. Thank you for joining with me today. Thank you for fighting with me. Thank you for standing with me. Sometimes it feels like our world is a very dark place, but I have hope. I have hope that if we stand, if we will link arms against evil, that we will overcome. Remember, my friends, all is well. All is well. Thanks for joining me.